Hello everybody, this is Alicia. I am an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator in the United States, and today I would like to share with you a watercolor, I guess you could call it watercolor technique using Stampin' Up's watercolor pencils. And I'm going to be using the, let's see, what is this called? The Stylus Sketches, which is in the celebration, the July through August 2022 celebration. And I'm going to be honest, this was not my favorite out of the celebration, but then after I received it and I've been using it, I am really enjoying the pencil sketched stamps. And I thought this fox would be a great one to show, and we're going to make a masculine card today, which it's masculine, but this I think can also be used for just a everyday card. And so, yeah, I am not the best at watercoloring, and when it comes, I found that using Stampin' Up's watercolor paper, which is this Fluid 100 watercolor paper, is easier to use when you're new at watercoloring, because it's meant for watercoloring. It's a very fibrous paper, and to me it is slightly forgiving. The other one that you can use is this. You probably can't tell, but this is the shimmer paper, and this also is great for watercoloring. So the first thing are a couple tips with watercoloring. Is one, I've found, I watched some videos, and this one right here is taping your watercolor paper to your surface, because when you're using water, your paper is going to curl. This way, it's easier. You don't have to worry about your paper folding up and maybe it, slips and slides because it's curling. So this will do that, but I just advise use a very low tack tape. I use the Post-it note tape, because it, like I said, it's a very fibrous paper, so when you remove the tape you have to be very careful. So the video I watched, she used painter's tape, which is a low tack tape. This, like I said, I had in my craft room. It's the Post-it note tape that I purchased off of Amazon. To start, I did cut my paper at 3.5 by 3.5 for my card. We'll get to the measurements towards when we're putting the card together, but I did cut that right away. The next thing, obviously, is your brush. This is the watercolor brush. I don't know if you can tell, but see how there's water in the barrel of the brush. And on the side here, right here, you'll see if you have these, it says push. That is where you push for the water to come out. This is clean, but it is a little bit stained from using it, but it is clean. I also have a paper towel handy, and I do have a little dish of water for cleaning and more control over water. If you're more comfortable dipping your brush in water rather than squeezing it out, it's up to you, whatever you're most comfortable with. Okay, and this, pure lazy, I just grabbed a container out of my craft room and used the lid, so I didn't have to go downstairs. This I want to show you. This is on watercolor paper, and I did this one today with Memento ink. It is possible, if you do not have StazOn, I suppose I should say, and StazOn, Jet Black StazOn ink is great to use with any type of watercoloring, because it's a solvent ink. Okay, it's like an alcohol-based ink, where Memento is it's a fade resistant ink, but as I don't know if you can tell, you can't really. So if you have Memento ink, I think this came out pretty good, but it did fade the black just a little bit, and like I said, with the water it will not necessarily smear it around, but it is going to cause it. So I did let it dry really well before I did it, and I think it looked pretty good, but I do prefer the StazOn when I'm watercoloring. That's your call. I think the Memento works good too. on the watercolor paper. Just so you know, the Stays On will stain your pad because it is a solvent ink. So therefore, you can clean if you don't want your stamp to remain black. You can clean it, you know, with water right away, and it will get most of it off. Stampin' Up does sell a Stays On cleaner, but if it is black and you do clean it and it still stays black, that's okay. It's not going to remain, you're not going to, like, let's say I stamped this in Cajun Craze, it's not going to show black. It's going to be clean. It's just going to stain the rubber, if that makes sense. So I am going to use a baby wipe to clean off right away. I do not have the Stays On cleaner right now, but I am going to use a baby wipe. It will get it mostly clean. And if you do it right away after stamping, you have a better chance of it not staining your rubber stamp. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to go ahead and we're going to ink up our stamp with the Stays On. Just make sure that we got that all good. And then I'm not going to go all the way to the end of the paper because I want to put a little bit of green grass at the bottom with this stamp. So I'm just going to go just a little bit, and we're going to give it a nice even pressure. Okay, and then I am going to take my baby wipe and I'm going to go across. So as you can see, it is taking the ink off if you do it right away. If I would let this set for any amount of time, it will stain your stamp. So I think I got that good and clean. And then I will take this and run it across my chamois here real quick. You can't see it in the camera because I do have it zoomed into the tabletop so that you can see where I'm going to be. So here you can see it did come pretty clean. Okay. This is a great ink to have though in your stash because when you're doing other types of other crafting besides cards, that's a great ink to have to use on other mediums. Okay, so your watercolor pencils by Stampin' Up, these are not your typical per se colored pencils. Colored pencils are wax based. The Stampin' Up pencils is basically watercolors. It's paint. It's like there's paint in there, so it's just not a wax-based tip like a Crayola colored pencil is. These are magnificent. If you've ever used a watercolor pencil, I absolutely love watercolor pencils. I have used other brands before, and I would have to say Stampin' Up does offer the best quality watercolor pencils. Okay, so the colors I chose for my fox are Cajun Craze and black. Okay, I am going to use black on his paws and Cajun Craze for his fur. I am going to leave the tip of his tail white and his breast right here on his chest white, because a fox does have white here and white here. There is a little bit of tiny white by his nose, so I'm not going to try to go all the way. And a fox paws are black. Okay, so all you do with your watercolor pencil is, and it's nice with the pencil sketched stamps, they kind of have all your shading for you. So you're just going to take your pencil and you're going to go, and I'm pressing down relatively hard. The harder you press, the deeper your color is going to be when you add your water, and I'm just using the Artist for the Stamps shading points, and that is where I am putting my heaviest color for my fox. Okay, we're going to put some here and here, and let's see, we want to put a little here, let's put some here, and on his tail. Okay, so that's it for the coloring. That's all you need to do with your You do not need to color in all the way. You definitely can, but you don't need to. So now with your watercolor brush, you can push it, and I don't know, in the video you probably can't see, but I am getting water, and I'm just making sure the bristles are wet, and I'm just going to do this, and I'm going to see how much water I have. Okay, so then I'm just going to go over my darkest spots, and I'm going to put a little bit more color down, or water, excuse me, to get a couple drops on the paper. I don't know if you guys can see that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to brush. Just like your watercoloring. I don't know if you guys remember those books, if you were kids, that you had them, and it had the little color points on there, and you just took your watercolor brush with water, or any kind of brush, and you just got it wet and you went over the color spots. That's kind of what this is like. Okay, so I don't want to go all the way down to his paws because I want to keep those black. And like I said, where you have more water, the lighter it's going to be. Okay, so you're just going to take that, and we're just going to go in. We're going to get some water on there. Make sure we have enough going across. Okay, I think that's looking pretty good. And we're going to go down to his tail here. We're not going to go all the way to the end, like I said, because your fox's tail is white at the tip. And, I mean, if you want your whole fox to be all, you know, the color you choose, then by all means, then that's what you should do. Okay, I'm going to squeeze more water here where there's the most color. I'm going to go around his face. And here's a little tip. Because, like I was telling you, that the watercolor pencils are not wax, they're actual paint. If you need to pick up a little bit more color, like let's say, you know, when I was first coloring, you know, I could have maybe went a little harder to get more color or more places. You can take your watercolor pencil and pick up and paint. So see how it's a little bit darker right here? And I wanted his face to be just a little bit darker. You can just pick up color from your color pencil with your water. Okay, so I'm going to squeeze a little bit more water here where I went a little darker to get that color to spread out. And because, like I said, this is watercolor paper, it can handle the water. And we're going to leave his chest white. I'm going to pick up a little bit more color with my water painter. Okay, go here. Okay. So, I think he looks pretty good. What do you guys think? Okay, so now I'm going to clean because I want to get that Cajun craze out of there. I'm going to dip in here and I'm going to go with my paper towel and we're going to clean that off, because now I'm going to take my black pencil and we're going to do his paws black. Okay. Now I'm going to come in with my painter, my water painter, and I am going to blend that black in. I think that looks pretty good. And now I'm going to go same thing on his next paws here. And go over where I just put that pencil. Okay. Okay, and now you see I got this one a little dark. Darker than I would like, but that's okay. What you're going to do if that happens is you're going to take your paper towel, okay, and you are going to just press down. You're not going to rub, you're not going to do anything. You're just going to go press and lift. And see how that it did lighten it up just a little bit. If you want, you could add just a little bit more water so it's a little bit wetter. If you want to lighten that up, not a lot. just a little. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take my piece of paper towel and I'm going to lift off. And see, look at how that lightened that right up. And so I can still see my sketch marks from the stamp. So that's a good tip when you're watercoloring. Don't rub it, don't dab it, just put your paper toweling down and lift up. Okay? So now I'm going to oh, excuse me. I can't believe I haven't coughed yet. Now I probably just jinxed myself. But now we're gonna wipe this off because we want our grass and our sky. I'm cleaning that off, and I'm gonna take my old olive colored pencils, and I'm gonna do the same thing that I did with the fox. I'm just gonna go where the artist wants the shading to be, and it's like grounding your stamp. So you don't want your fox to be floating. You want him to be walking on something. I don't think we got a flying fox, but yeah, it's important to always ground your work. Okay, so now I'm going to take my water painter and we are going to do the same thing. We are going to go over this with water and make our ground. So you can make the ground any color you want. If you want to take it and make it brown, you go ahead, make it brown. I'm going to do this in green with the old olive. Okay, like I said, the more water you use, the lighter it's going to be. So what I want to do is I do want to pick up a little bit more of the green. Let's see, I got old olive here. And I'm going to pick it up with my brush. I don't know if you guys can see this. Let me go down a little bit here. I don't know if you can see, but it did pick up. When I go over it, it does get darker. Okay, and I want to add a little bit more down here so that when I go in and add my water, it spreads out. And we're just painting. Okay. Just gonna do that. I'm gonna go pick up a little bit more color. And some spots where there's the grass. I don't want it all to look like the same green. Lighter and darker, I think. Okay. And that way I kind of want to get that watercolor marks in there. I like that look when you see a watercolor painting. I want to get those lines in there. Okay, so let's clean our brush off. And now we are going to do the sky. Now this is up to you. You do not have to go all the way to the top for your sky with the balmy blue, but I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to take some color here and add in some blue, and we're going to go around the fox. Okay, like so. Okay. I'm going to make the whole thing blue. Okay. So again, we're going to take our brush, get it wet, and we're going to paint our blue. That's all it is like scribbling and water. Okay, and more water. If you don't, like I said, I've been dipping it in my tray. That's fine. You can also take it where it says push and you can squeeze to get the water out, and I can see I must have not have had it completely clean because I saw some Cajun Craze go out with that. Clean it better. Okay, so now we're just taking again and we are just going over with our water and blending that blue colored pencil to make our sky. And that's all that you need to do. Just take that and you just take in your brush. Try not to go where you don't want it to go, but if you do, that is okay. This is watercoloring. It's not meant to be perfect. We want it to look like it was watercolored. And remember, you guys, homemade is not perfect. Okay, so here again, taking our blue and we're getting it wet so that we can pick up that color and move it around. Okay, and I'm trying not to get on his white chest there. And as you can see, and you can go onto the tape because why not? It's not going to stay with it. And there I am. I'm dabbing, 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 getting it wet so that the color moves around. Okay, so now I'm going to put a little bit here to pick up some of that blue, and I'm going to go up with it. And you can see just very lightly when you go up, it's blending, it's pulling that color onto the watercolor. Okay, now I want more blue, so like I said before, I'm taking my water painter and I'm picking up the paint right off of the colored pencil. Okay, and see how it's a little bit darker here? So I'm just adding some color, and then I'm gonna put a little dot of water on there and see how it spreads out, because that watercolor paper is meant for this. So it's pulling the color and it's pooling it, and there you go. So now I want to make sure I got a little bit more. I didn't go all the way down to the fox because I didn't want to blend in with the Cajun of his fur. So now I'm just thinning that color out like so. I put a little bit more water here to kind of clean those lines up, the pencil mark lines. And I want the sky to have a little bit of lines because then it kind of gives that illusion of clouds or like different color blues in the sky. Kind of want that. So let's get some good water on there and let's spread that out. Okay. And two, if you find that you can wait for this to dry and then go over some spots again. There's nothing wrong with that. If you have the Stampin Up heat tool, you can use that and dry your paper off. Just be careful not to burn your paper, and then just dry it, go in like a circular motion and dry your paper. But because this is watercolor paper, this will take quite a bit of water. I'm just adding some more color in. Giving in my sky. Like I said, I could have done this and put more down before I added the water, but I wasn't sure. I always think, you know what, you can add more color, but you can't take it out, right? I mean, we could dab a little bit like I did, but that's forgiving to a point. Okay, so here I think we have our cute little fox here, and you know what, it looks to me, because it's a pencil sketching stamp, it to me it kind of looks like art, like you actually watercolored, you drew and you watercolored. Okay, so let's clean our brush off here. We're going to clean this off. Okay, so now I am going to remove this from my surface. Now I'm using my tabletop because I have something that protects it. Wherever you have taped your paper down, and it's always good, you want to pull the tape away when you're doing this. We're going to pull it away. And see, I do have a little bit of edge there, but that's okay. And again, you don't want to just take it and pull it. You want to pull it away from your paper because it's fibrous paper. Oh, see, now I love that little water line on there. Oh, I think that looks so cool. Okay, and you could reuse your tape for another project because you want a low text. So again, we're pulling away, and we don't have to worry so much because it is low tack tape. Okay, so here we go again, and we're just pulling this away. Okay, for the blue, I am going to go here and I am going to take it. I'm going to try to get a little blue on this line. The bottom I'm going to leave because I kind of like that look with the line on the bottom. I think that looks cool. It's kind of hard to see, you know, in the camera view, but when I post pictures of it on Facebook and my blog, you'll see what I mean. Okay. So there's our beautiful fox, you guys. And I think that it's relatively easy to do. I don't have the best lighting, you guys. I don't have the best camera, so sorry about that. But so yeah, there's our fox. And we're going to set him aside and let him dry. And I'm just going to show you the difference between, this is the Stays On, and this is the Memento. They both look good, I think, but I like the Stays On better. Okay, so I'm going to set him aside so that he can dry, so that we can make our card. Okay, and I'm going to move this water because I am notorious for making a mess. And we're just going to move all this stuff out of the way. Okay, so I have a piece of thick white cardstock that I have cut and scored ahead of time, and this is your 8.5 by 4.5 or 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. Okay, I have cut a piece of Cajun Craze at 3 5/8 by 3 5/8, and another piece of Cajun Craze cut at 2 1/4 by 5.5. And from the Rustic Harvest Designer Series paper, I have cut a strip of what is this? This, I believe, is 2 1/4 by 5.5. This is 2 3/8 by 5.5. Yeah, because I wanted just a little bit of that Cajun Craze to show, and we'll go like this. I'm wondering if I unzoom here, if you guys will have a clearer. I don't think it matters. Okay, so we are going to go ahead, and I am going to grab my seal. Isn't this side pretty of the Designer Series paper? Yeah, make sure your surface is dry from your watercoloring. Okay, and we are going to affix this, adhere this to our cardstock here. And I did not get a sentiment ready, so if you guys don't mind a little longer of a video, we will. And here we go. I did not do it straight. That's okay. I've got paper stuck to my finger. Oh, geez, you guys. It's been a week, I tell ya. What is it, Tuesday? Okay. So, I'm going all the way to the edge of my piece of cardstock. And we're going to set that down. Okay, now it is straight. Okay. And because I pulled up that little piece of paper, I'm going to take my multi-purpose glue. And hopefully I can get a little tiny bit out. And I can't. So I'm going to grab my handy dandy pin here that I stick in the top to get it to unstick because it's glue. So it is going to put some in the nozzle there. Okay, and I'm just going to flatten that out. See? Nobody's ever going to know that I made a mistake, right? Except for you guys. Okay, so I'm going to wipe that glue off my fingers, and we are going to take this, and we are going to take our seal, and just like so, and we are going to put this, not in the middle of the card, but just a little bit. I'll leave that, what is that, probably a 1/2 inch. Okay. And then I'm going to, I think by now, I think our fox should be dry. He's a little bit damp, but that's okay. We're just going to be careful. And we're going to take our seal, and we are going to put this in the camera so you can see what I'm doing. And I am going to run some seal on this guy. Like this. Normally, I would have the card done and just show you the technique, but today I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go for it. Okay, so here we are going to mat this. It's a little damp, but it's not too bad. But as you can see, how my paper isn't all curled up because I taped it down. It's okay if you don't. Your paper curls. Once you put glue on it, it's going to flatten out. But this was just a lot easier to work with, I feel, when it's not so curled up. Okay, so now we're going to take our dimensionals and we're going to flip this guy over, and we are going to use corner, 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 and one in the middle. So we do not have a saggy middle when we're using our dimensionals. Okay, and I am going to put this guy right here. Okay, so that's our card, and now we just need a sentiment. And let's see, what do we want to use? What do we want to use? What should our sentiment be, you guys? Happy birthday? I think that would be a good happy birthday. Okay, let's see, I haven't even taken these out here yet. Maybe I don't want to use these. Do I have a quick happy birthday? I'm sorry, you guys, I should have been more prepared. Let's see here. I just want a quick sentiment I can put on so that, you know what, let's call this video good, and I will share with you the sentiment that I choose on my Facebook page and my blog. How about that? Like a little bit of suspense, like you gotta go figure it out. But I am going to put my my rustic metallic embellishments on there. I am going to grab my U-Pick tool, and we are going to put some embellishments on this card because I believe I'm going to have my sentiment be right here. Okay, and it's going to say happy birthday. So I am going to put, I think, one here. Let's go. Let's just make it simple. Go right there, and then we're going to take one and we're going to follow the triangle, and we're just going to put one right here. So I think that will look good with our sentiment, and I will show you guys when I am all done. Well, thank you so much, and I hope these watercolor tips helped. And I'm not sure if you have watercolored with the watercolor pencils before, but I really do truly enjoy watercoloring with the Stampin' Up! Watercolor pencils. Thanks for watching. Bye now.